Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be what happens if we repress our emotions. So, relax your body, take a couple of nice breaths. Breathe in the peace, exhale the noise and the chaos. Breathe in the calm and exhale the freak out. So, what happens when we repress our emotions? When we try to avoid our emotions? When we try to push them away? When we make believe we're not really angry, sad, hurt, grieving, whatever it may be. What happens to the emotions? Well, they certainly don't go away. Even if you try to make believe you're not angry, underneath the surface, that's still there. So what happens if that's a habit of yours and a behavior of yours that you've been repressing your emotions for years or decades? The emotions accumulate, right? And some of us are fairly blessed that we don't have a lot of really big, heavy-duty emotional events in our lives, but most of us do. The vast majority of us do. But even for the person who goes, my life's pretty good, I don't have a lot going on. But if our natural tendency is to push these emotions away, repress them, suppress them, they accumulate. So you may not feel like you've got a lot to be angry over. But if you push away every little tiny bit of anger, they accumulate to the point where, that anger's everywhere and it builds up to the point where you've got actual serious anger because you're just making believe you're not angry for every little thing that happens. Right? Sarno theorized that the brain was protecting us from these repressed emotions that were bubbling up to the surface, right? And he said pain was created by the brain to distract us from these repressed emotions, which the brain perceived as a bigger threat than the pain itself. Right? So why do we repress emotions? Well, in my case, my dad was quite angry. He had a temper, and when he went off, boy, did he go off. I was blessed. He never hit me. Nothing more than a spanking when I did something wrong, but he'd never beat or really abused any of us kids physically. But boy, did he have a temper. And when he screamed, you felt the walls shake, And so he modeled anger very well for me. And what did I learn? I never want to be like him. I never want to be like him. And so as a result, what did I do with anger through most of my life? Push it away. I didn't allow myself to feel it because I never wanted to be like my dad, right? And we all have early childhood experiences that helped shape our emotional makeup, right? How many times have you heard people say, don't let them see it cry. Whatever you do, don't let them see it cry. Toughen up. Get a stiff upper lip. Don't let them see it cry. And that's been told to men and women growing up, boys and girls, right? You don't want to be considered a big baby, right? So what do? We suppress this sadness. Does it go away? Absolutely not. So what's the best way to make sure that the emotions don't build up? To feel them. Now look, there's a big proponent of people in the TMS mind-body space who are all about digging up the past, journaling. Some even recommend therapy for people who are struggling with a high degree of pain or symptoms. And as a result, I knew that was going to happen. As a result, many people in this TMS community who are on their journey of trying to recover have done some or a lot of emotional work. And some may have had some progress or not, but if you're still in this game and you've done a lot of the emotional work, I'm not convinced, nor will I recommend you go dig it up again, right? Why? Well, if it didn't work the first time, why would doing it again be the solution? Yes, Sarno was correct that repressed negative emotions were perceived by the brain as dangerous. But guess what? Lots of things can be perceived as dangerous. Life stress, work stress, financial stress, kid stress, parent stress, right? And yes, all of those stressors have emotions tied to them. But it's not only about emotions. Perceived danger, you get sick. Some people get sick with COVID. And they're terrified because of everything they've heard on the news and from everybody else around them, watching people walking around with masks for years. And so people get COVID. And their brain just goes, holy cow, ah! Perceived danger can create symptoms. And in my opinion, not all, but the vast majority of cases of quote-unquote long COVID are perceived danger symptoms. Things get wonky when the brain is terrified. So it could be a normal illness. It could be an accident. Let's say something happened, you fell, you hurt yourself. Sometimes for a highly sensitive person, an injury can be perceived as the trigger that started things going. And here's the thing. The original cause of the symptoms may not be why you still have symptoms now. And if you've been following my videos, you know that I talk a lot about the formula for chronic pain. Pain plus fear plus attention equals chronic pain. So fear and attention are the two fuel sources that are getting poured on top of the pain that make it stick around. The solution? Dial down the fear with accurate knowledge that it's just TMS. And then with that, you can take away the attention. Don't try to ignore the pain when you're terrified of it. It won't work. That's like being locked in a room with a tiger that looks really hungry. It's growling at you. And somebody says, oh, ignore it. You can't. It's not possible. But what you can do is teach yourself through accurate knowledge, research, understanding the things I talk about here daily, and the things that Dr. Sarno wrote about, that Dr. Schubner, Dr. Hanscom, Dr. Clark, all of these people have written about. Understand that so you know what causes pain. My take on it is perceived danger is the cause. Period. Is going back and digging up all these repressed emotions going to solve that problem? Usually not. Maybe, but usually not. And if it does, that's not the only thing. So, what do I think we need to do? Ideally, stop pushing emotions away because they accumulate. And when they accumulate, the brain can perceive that overwhelming set of emotions as dangerous and create symptoms. But what it can also do is when your emotions accumulate, you're more prone to blow up at the people around you and flip out and scream at people and be really reactive to other people. And that doesn't really win us any raving fans, right? It can create social circumstances or social consequences. So what do? Instead of letting them build up till they blow, causing those social consequences, how about feeling them? How about giving yourself permission and allowing yourself to experience these things called emotions in real time? Look, if you've done some emotional work about the past, don't do it again. I don't know that that's the answer. But if we want to teach our brain that emotions are safe, the best way to do that is to allow ourselves to experience the emotion. And a lot of people say, I don't know how to feel my emotions, Dan. What's the right way to feel my emotions? But I'm saying that's an overcomplication of a process that you were born to do. Does a 2-year-old have to know how to cry? No. Does a 2-year-old have to be taught how to get angry? No, just take his toy away. Ah! They scream, they cry, they get angry. Try not to overthink this emotional thing. And, I joke sometimes. People say, but how am I supposed to feel the emotions? And I'm like, well, have you ever gotten pissed off? Yeah, of course. Do that if you're pissed off. Whatever that looks like for you. Sometimes it's veins in the neck popping, making a clenched fist. Allow it. Allow it out so it can pass. Because if you stuff it back in, it builds up. And eventually you're going to blow at somebody. Or you're going to have a new TMS symptom come up. Because your brain's perceiving that anger is bubbling up. And if you've already decided emotions are bad, there's never a good reason to suppress or repress emotions. There's absolutely a good reason not to be overly reactive with the people in our lives. Coworkers, boss, spouse, kids, parents. If you're going around like a bull in a china shop, just freaking out about everything and expressing our emotions, meaning venting them at the people around us, and that's your common reaction to anything emotional, you're probably going to have some social interaction issues with the people around you. So there is a time to say, okay, that pissed me off, but I'm not going to blow up. But that doesn't mean you just shove it in the closet. What that means is next opportune time, and it could be as soon as the next bathroom break, the next opportune time, you want to allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. Why? So it can pass. But feel those emotions without judging yourself harshly for feeling those emotions. They're normal. We're supposed to feel emotions. Like I said, we were born that way. So feel the emotions, whatever that looks like for you. If sadness looks like just this, or if it's one of those ugly cries where you're just bawling your eyes out, whatever sadness looks like for you, allow it. Same with anger, grief, rage, shame, guilt, jealousy, envy, all that stuff. Feel whatever you're feeling, but don't judge yourself for it. And the third important part is try, if you can, to stop ruminating on the story beneath the emotions. Because we were talking about resentment in yesterday's video, and a number of people commented, but what do I do with somebody who I have anger and resentment towards who's in my life? Well, you may not be able to vent your emotions at that person because that may cause more chaos in the relationship. Some people were saying, well, I don't want them to leave, but boy, do they really trigger me, and emotionally I'm not safe with this person, right? So what I've told these folks in the comments on Facebook was this: you can have an emotional life. You can have heavy-duty emotions. You can even have somebody that is pushing your buttons and triggering you, but you don't need to hurt. How do I know that? 13 years in, I was still married, but the marriage was falling apart, and it had been for many years. I still got better, even though my wife at the time and I had not yet decided what we were going to do. We were still in chaos. It was not a fun time. The most emotionally challenging time of my life was when that marriage was falling apart. In the middle of that, I got better. Why? Because you can't get rid of your life stress. You can't get rid of the people in your life. Sometimes you can, but not that easily. But you don't have to. That's the point. Life can be very lifey. You don't have to hurt. So if you feel like you're kind of stuck with all sorts of emotions surrounding the people in your lives or in your life, Don't decide that you'll never get better because you've got people that are triggering you. So there's a little bit of a ramble on emotions in general. But the point is, emotions are safe. Decide that right now, today. A lot of us don't like feeling emotions because we feel weak or broken or out of control or even crazy if we get angry or in a rage. And we generally don't like it. But you know what? Feeling emotions is not dangerous. Blowing up at people, maybe not such a good idea. We have three choices with emotions. We can stuff them, we can feel them, or we can blow up on people. I like the middle ground. Feel them without judging yourself for having the emotions in the first place and without ruminating on the story as to why you're so upset. If you're the type to be driving down the road, having an argument in your head with somebody who you got in a fight with 3 weeks ago, and they don't even know you're mad, you're ruminating. And you're probably staying mad. And if you tell that story to everybody you see, and you repeat the story over and over and over again, you're recreating that anger over and over and over again. And then people will say, I'm always mad. I can't get rid of the anger. You can. You're just choosing to keep it around by rumination. So, a lot of concepts covered in this one. But when we repress our emotions, they don't go away. When we avoid them, when we push them away, when we act like we're not mad or sad or hurt or whatever, those emotions don't go away. They accumulate. The way to stop the accumulation, feel your emotions. Don't judge yourself harshly for being an emotional being, because that's what we are. And lastly, don't ruminate on the story underneath it. Stay out of that story mode. Allow yourself to experience the emotions. And with practice, it takes practice, you're going to get better and better at feeling whatever the heck is going on. And not judging yourself. I can get pissed off and I don't look at myself and go, oh, you're out of control. You're a maniac like your dad. I've gotten past that. Why? Because over the years I learned to feel my emotions without judgment. And I don't ruminate on the stories as much as I used to. Do I still do it? Of course. Of course. So, hope this makes sense. This is a longer video today, so I hope you enjoyed it. And comment below if you've got some thoughts on it. If you're not yet a subscriber on YouTube, please hit that big red subscribe button. Subscribers are climbing nicely. If you want some extra help with this stuff, not just the emotional stuff, but how to teach your brain you're safe, consider my group. Go to painfreeyou.com/join. All the details are there, the call times. I do 16 group call sessions a month. You can show up to any of them or all of them. Plus there's a video course. Plus there's a wonderful community of people who are just like you, who understand it and who are cheering you on and helping with their own experiences and successes and progress. So give that a thought. And do your best to allow yourself to feel the emotions so they don't accumulate by you suppressing, repressing, pushing them away. So I hope this was beneficial for you. I'm going to wrap this one up. I love all of you. You're amazing people. I'm so blessed to be able to do this work. And we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.